There's a lot of great Atlus news coming out this week. For instance, we now know that Raidou remastered, which I already assumed it was based on, some Steam charts and other data and statistics. Raidou remastered was a smashing success for Atlus. It was the only game that released in Atlus catalog last year, and yet Atlus still had a very profitable year. Now, there were Persona games that still were selling well, but Raidou was mentioned in this document as one of the main sellers, so that's very good to hear. I would not be surprised if we see Raidou Remaster 2. Let's be honest, these are remakes. These Raidou remasters are just remakes. Like, this is not the same game as the original. Like, it is not even close. There's even story changes. It looks like it came out in 2025. The only thing that tells you that this game is old is some of the NPCs, because they didn't bother remaking some of the NPCs, like, models. So you see, like, a high-quality SMT5 level Raidou and Narumi, and then you just see, like, a random PS2 upscaled NPC. But besides those, like, everything else looked like it was made, like, today. So I'm not surprised at all that this has sold well. I mean, we're in an era where SMT5 Vengeance can sell millions of copies, which bodes very well for Megaton as a whole. Because if SMT mainline is healthy, then that means the spin-offs will also stand to be healthy. Just as Persona spin-offs, they coast along with the Persona name and sell also loads of copies. And now we can see something similar what happened with SMT. The last time something like this happened was in the 2000s. Even though SMT Nocturne wasn't very successful, it at least allowed stuff like DDS, which also wasn't very successful, and Raidou, which was a little more successful, to be created based off its assets and reach out to a broader audience. Now that experiment can be brought back in full. Maybe we could even see like more spin-offs like Devil Survivor. Maybe not really Devil Survivor 3, but just something like more experimental like that. SMT, Megaton taking new genres to experiment with new spin-offs. Soul Hackers 2 was trying to do something similar, but I think that was a case of not really knowing what audience you're going for. Soul Hackers 2 should not have been Soul Hackers 2. It should have been like Ion Hackers. Or it should have been Devil Hunters. Something like Digital Devil Hunters. Just something else. This is why I think Atlus is doing something like what they're doing with Raidou. They're remaking the first game while they're still talking about making Raidou 3. Yamai, he said that he wanted to make a Raidou 3 but set in modern day. That it'd be a juxtaposition between the traditional Raidou clan and modern day Tokyo. And that's a very good idea. But what they did that was smart here is instead of just jumping in and releasing Raidou 3 without examining if there's still a fan base for it, they remade the original one, and likely the second one is going to release soon, based on the sales numbers of Raidou Remastered. And this is a lesson that Soul Hackers also should have taken. I think if they had remade Soul Hackers 1 first, and then made a sequel based on the reception of Soul Hackers 1, we would have gotten a very different Soul Hackers 2. One that would have resonated more with the audience of the Soul Hacker fans, because Soul Hackers actually sold like hundreds of thousands of copies on the original release. It was a very profitable game. That is why, like Persona, they went back to make a sequel to that game. But the big issue is Persona 3, reinvented the series, but there's still a lot of Persona in it. Persona 3 is just Persona 1 and 2, but with a new life sim added to it. Even though with like all the Nyx like nonsense that was added, like despite that, it's still very Persona at its core nature. Soul Hackers 2 is like a very different beast. A different interior, different gameplay. The whole interaction between the summoner and their demons are just not there. And so that alienated a lot of the classic Soul Hackers fan base. And that caused the game sales to pretty much plummet due to bad word of mouth from classic fans of the series, especially in Japan. If Soul Hackers 2 had been released as a new original Megaton spinoff, still with connections to the Devil Summoner series, or maybe as a different sub-series under Devil Summoner, it could have been a lot more successful. Look at Catherine. Catherine was successful, but even though it was something new, I think we could have seen that with Soul Hackers 2 had it been under a different name. That's why I'm glad they didn't just jump in with Raidou 3. Because what if their plans for Raidou 3 was going to be something crazy, basically making it Persona, but with Raidou Kuzuno as the main figure? Could it be cool? Like Soul Hackers 2 was cool, but would it be Raidou Kuzuno? And that's the question. That's why it's important for these developers to go back to the roots of the series before stepping into a new entry, like what they're doing with Raidou. Now that they know there's a modern audience for Raidou, now they know that Raidou can sell well, that he's still a very marketable figure. They can now take notes and see how the fan base is receptive to him and what parts of his story and character that they enjoy. So when Raidou 3 does come out, it'll be far more in vein of what the audience expects, while also giving us something new that doesn't detract from what Raidou Kuzunoha was, like Soul Hackers 2 did. And now, based on the success of Raidou Kuzunoha remake, we could probably see other remakes of different sub-series for Megaton. Maybe we could see another Devil Children, maybe a new Devil Survivor, or maybe a Devil Survivor remaster or something. Maybe we could even see DDS. I'm pretty sure Digital Devil Saga remasters were leaked, actually in Steam or something, but they just never came out. So those are probably something that's being worked on, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, this is very good news for Atlus as a whole and Megaton. And now for the P5X news. Now this is great. So Kotone, and if you don't know, Kotone is the canon name for the female protagonist of Persona 3 Portable. You see, it was kind of sad that she wasn't a reload, but now we get to have her in P5X. So thankfully she's not completely forgotten. And this actually opens the floodgates for a cool amount of stuff that can happen in Persona 5X. If you remember, a few years ago, I posted a short about the Persona 5X developers, or it might have been on Twitter, but the Persona 5X developers saying that they would love to have Persona 1 and 2, as well as mainline S&T, make appearances in Persona 5X. But for Persona 1 and 2 specifically, unlike other Persona games, there's not already, I guess publicly, because they might be remaking them right now, but there's not 3D models for them to readily use to make those characters. But if we show them enough love, support, and make noise that we want them, that it will happen. And they said the same thing, but for S&T, but it's a different thing. They said that we're going to make dungeons for S&T rather than actual collaboration. So you'd go to a dungeon, have Nahobino boss or Hitoshiro or Demi-Fiend boss. But what this Kotone Shiomi announcement has just shown is that they will do it. Why? Kotone Shiomi and Theodore, they don't have 3D. Wait, actually, no. Theodore got 3D model in the dancing game, I think. If I'm mistaken, I think he did get a 3D model. But Kotone, she has 0 official 3D models. No movesets, no animations, no bones, no dancing model, no challenge battle model, no nothing. This is a Kotone Shiomi model that's made 100% from scratch. And guess who else don't have publicly revealed 3D models right now? Yuya Narumi, Tatsuya Sou, and Maya Amano. So I think these guys are coming in within the next year or year and a half of Persona 5X. If Kotone can be added to Persona 5X, that means they can. And the fact that they have publicly acknowledged their existence many times over since Wada has stepped in as head of Persona Studio, and the fact that Blackwing Studio themselves have acknowledged the demand for Persona 1 and 2 to be incorporated into their game, and they keep saying that they'll have future collaborations with more Persona games, and only one of the big 3 of the Persona games that hasn't been collaborated with is Persona 4, and they use games plural, not just game. Persona 1 and 2 are coming into Persona 5X. It's not an if, it's not a I wish, it's a when. And it's going to be glorious when it happens. This will be the first time, assuming that Persona 4 Revival doesn't have challenge battles, that we get to see Yuya Narumi, Tatsuya Sou, and Maya Amano and modern 4K graphics. I guess mobile 4K graphics, but full 3D models with movesets and everything. I mean, I really want to see Nova Kaiser or Nova Sizer in 3D. That's going to be insane to see. or Crescent Mirror and Hieroglyphin in 3D. Like, I want to see these moves in full glorious 3D. I want to see my goat Yu Anatomy just talk to Nagisa about dissociation, about loneliness, about how he had no friends before, but during his journey, he has gained valuable friendship, that Nagisa has something special with his Phantom Thieves, that he should never forget how precious friends are, because he didn't realize it and he was living in years of pain and sorrow. But now with his friends at his side, he knows the full enjoyment of life. Like, I want to see that type of stuff in Persona 5X. Kotone coming here, people be like, "Oh, but there's no Persona 1 and 2 in this announcement." No, this is great, because this tells us that Persona 1 and 2 are a guarantee. It's just a matter of when and not if. So congratulations, Kotone. You have just opened the floodgates to even more awesome stuff to come in the future. I decided I wanted to do this style of video because I want to get videos out more often. One, because the algorithm, if I just drop my Yu Anatomy video now, I barely have uploaded any videos in like the past 6 months, my video will be drawn out by the algorithm, and I've worked really hard in that video. And then two, I kind of want to give a new outlook to these kinds of Atlus news that I've released, because I feel I can maybe give a different perspective on this kind of news. There's not a lot of Persona voices on YouTube besides I feel like Raidou, or what's his name? The kid who wipes, or the caped kid. I'm just playing Kid Capes, who are like kind of seasoned Megaten fans, like Persona fans. They can give like views on that stuff, but they mostly like post their views on Twitter and then leave their YouTubes for like breakdowns or like documentaries. So I kind of want to add something new. Let me know if you guys like this style of video and if you want me to make more of it. And I know I keep saying this, but the Yu Anatomy video will drop either in July or August. I'm halfway down with the script. I'm loving the script so far. And I hope you guys love it too when it drops. Peace.